Well, in the United Kingdom, the Epstein files are delivering a serious blow to British Prime Minister Kier Starmer. At the heart of that scandal is the man Starmer appointed to be the UK's ambassador to Washington, Peter Mandelson. Mandelson was fired from that job.
If I knew then what I know now, he would never have been anywhere near government.
Did he know that Mandelson had continued his friendship with Epstein after the conviction?
What was not known was the depth, the sheer depth and extent of the relationship.
Okay, so Mandelson was fired from the job in September after documents were revealed showing he sent supportive messages to Epstein when he was charged with sexual offenses in 2008. And since then, the controversy has only worsened as the latest batch of documents suggests Mandelson sent confidential and marked sensitive information to Epstein back in 2009 when Mandelson was a cabinet minister. That led to a police investigation and questions about what Prime Minister Kier Starmer knew and when. Then, this weekend, Starmer's chief of staff resigned over his role in appointing Mandelson ambassador. And today, the head of the Scottish Labour Party called for Starmer himself to resign.
The distraction needs to end, and the leadership in Downing Street has to change.
Joining me now with more on how the Epstein files have rocked the British government, we've got Aubrey Allegretti. He is the chief political correspondent for The Times. Aubrey, it's good to see you again. Thanks for taking the time today.
Thanks for having me.
So a series of events today, Kier Starmer meeting with Cabinet, meeting with his MPs. Any indications his leadership might be in danger after the events of the day?
It seems almost unfathomable, but 19 months after Keir Starmer came to power in the UK with the biggest majority in nearly 2 decades in British politics, he is tonight at crisis point. He has been speaking to his MPs privately behind closed doors to make the argument that turning in on itself, the Labour Party threatens to be ejected from office and rejected by voters at the next election. He has been fighting for survival after the leader of the Scottish Labour Party today called for him to quit, privately joining the chorus of many other ministers who've been saying that same thing privately to me and other Labour MPs as well. The Prime Minister obviously has quite a significant advantage insofar as his opponents are divided. They can't decide who should replace him, and the mechanism to force a contest is quite complicated, but it still is a very difficult situation he's facing with a huge loss of political capability and credit at a crucial time in the electoral cycle here.
Right, so publicly people may be rallying to his side, but privately things are maybe a little bit different. And of course, the Scottish Labour leader did what he did. The chief of staff quit, the communications director quit. And Aubrey, correct me if I'm wrong, like Kier Starmer is not in the Epstein files. He just appointed Lord Peter Mandelson to be the ambassador to the United States, who is in the Epstein files. It's not his own conduct, it's the conduct of an appointee.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Keir Starmer was a relatively new politician in parliamentary terms. He only became an MP in 2015, 6 years after Jeffrey Epstein was then serving jail time for the first offence. But what's really come into question here is his judgment in appointing Peter Mandelson as the UK's ambassador to Washington. Now, there's lots of information that's obviously come out in the tranche of files published by the US Justice Department over the last few months. But there was quite a high degree of material already in the public domain prior to Keir Starmer making this appointment in December 2024. And so there are many people asking why he made such a bad decision in appointing Peter Mandelson in spite of the red flags around him. Labour MPs are particularly unhappy. They say it's just another setback and shows that he hasn't got any political nous, that he's more interested in sort of supporting a political bedfellow and friend than throwing out of the Labour Party somebody who obviously continued to associate with a known paedophile. There has also been evidence, of course, that Peter Mandelson was leaking widespread government documents from his time when he was a minister in the new Labour government in 2009. So there are so many embarrassing revelations that are coming out, not just concerning Peter Mandelson, but about the political judgment of Keir Starmer and those around him who brought him back into the fold.
Yeah, and some of that information being leaked was market-moving, sensitive economic information, you know, the sort of things that criminal investigations get launched into in some cases. But help me understand something here, Aubrey. Like, there are many members of the U.S. government at the very top all throughout the Epstein files, it does not seem to be shaking that government. Like there's obviously activity in the United States and concern about it, but it is absolutely rocking the UK government. Why is it hit like a thunderbolt into the Kier Starmer coalition here?
I think it's partly bad timing for Keir Starmer. I mean, he's been under a lot of political pressure for some time now. Over the course of the last 19 months, he's had several resets. He's lost 4 directors of communications, his chief of strategy, and other senior key figures in his team. So this is really the sort of lightning rod that has just struck at a really bad time for the Prime Minister. He's got 2 sort of major hurdles coming up in electoral terms: a parliamentary by-election at the end of February, which Labour, by all accounts, should win, but is still facing a sort of strong challenge from both the sort of populist right-wing party Reform UK and the Green Party, a sort of insurgent party on the left. And then you have major elections being described as the PM's midterms in May this year. That's when you've got local elections across England, but national elections in the devolved administrations in Wales and Scotland. And the PM's personal approval ratings have tanked. They are on a level that no Prime Minister has ever seen before. And so this has all come to sort of haunt the Prime Minister. He's got no political capital or friends left in the party. He's now fighting for survival.
Okay, in about the 30, 40 seconds we've got left, what should we be watching for in terms of whether Keir Starmer does in fact survive this?
So it seems as though, based on everything that's happened today, the Prime Minister has bought himself some time. That's probably because the people that might like to most replace him haven't got their ducks in a row yet. They don't want to take over months before things might get even harder for the party. So the things to look out for are really closer to May, and that will be which cabinet ministers, which senior members of the UK government administration effectively put their heads above the parapet and call for Keir Starmer to go. And in what order do they do that? Because as the older adage goes, he who wields the knife shall never wear the crown, which means that some of those with the most to gain are sort of tempted to take a step back and let others carry the can.
Aubrey Allegretti, Chief Political Correspondent for The Times. We always appreciate the time. Good to see you again, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.